Welcome, and thank you for your interest in the Missouri River. At this open house, you'll have an opportunity to learn more about the Missouri River and the federal mission to manage the river under a series of authorized purposes. Using the supplied guide and comment form, we invite you to visit each station and examine the information presented. Please feel free to engage with federal agency personnel and ask questions, explore topics, and provide input and comments on what matters to you. The Big Muddy, the Mighty Mo, the Missouri River. As one of America's best-known rivers, the Missouri River makes its way across 7 states, winding roughly 2,600 miles from western Montana down to where it empties into the Mississippi River near St. Louis, Missouri, bisecting a watershed basin of 567,000 square miles, roughly 1/6 of the contiguous United States. From its creation, the Missouri River has been a source of water, food, and transportation for the many different inhabitants that have lived in the region, and is an artery of development for a growing nation. For the tribal communities in the basin, the river has contributed greatly to their culture through ways such as subsistence, spirituality, and medicinal plants, among others. Lewis and Clark, who launched their Northwest Passage expedition from St. Louis, Missouri in 1804, mapped the many curves, bends, and tributaries of the Missouri River, only later to find it developing into a highway to the west for miners, trappers, and settlers. Since that historic journey, the river has been the subject of ever-growing competing demands for its water. Wild, muddy with silt, constantly shifting. Coupled with annual spring flooding, the Missouri River was seen as a serious threat to westward expansion. In the 1830s, Congress authorized the United States Army Corps of Engineers to remove the tree snags that posed a threat to safe passage, thus beginning the agency's long involvement with the river. Subsequent congressional mandates followed, directing the Corps to manage the river through means such as bank stabilization, channelization, flood prevention, and to make the river more navigation-friendly. Floods were an annual occurrence. Shifting springtime rains mixed with annual mountain and plain snowmelt made the river treacherous and dangerous. The record-setting flood of 1881 spread the Missouri bluff to bluff some 300 miles, stretching from Sioux City, Iowa, all the way to St. Joseph, Missouri. And later, the catastrophic drought of the 1930s and Great Depression saw the Missouri River almost completely dry up. Despite government's best efforts, the river resisted most attempts to be managed. In 1943, 2 severe floods sent water throughout the Midwest, inundating nearly 1.8 million acres of agricultural land, as well as much of Omaha, including its airfield. This severe flooding and its impacts to the war effort caught the eye of the nation and of Congress. Legislative momentum moved toward a plan that married the ideas of 2 prominent river figures, Colonel Lewis A. Pick of the Corps, whose plan focused on taming the Mighty Mo for navigation and flood control, and W. Glenn Sloan of the Bureau of Reclamation, whose plan focused on irrigation and hydroelectric power. Congress moved quickly, and the resulting compromise was passed as part of the Flood Control Act of 1944, otherwise known as the Pick-Sloan Plan. Building upon existing plans for the Missouri River, this groundbreaking legislation saw the Corps and Bureau of Reclamation charged with management of the Missouri River Basin projects for 8 distinct authorized purposes. These purposes include water quality, flood control, irrigation, fish and wildlife, hydropower, navigation, water supply, and recreation. The Corps' plan included construction of 5 new dams on the main stem of the Missouri River. Fort Peck in eastern Montana was finished in 1940 and added to the 44 plan for a total of 6 main stem dams. This law also called for the Corps and the Bureau to build additional dams on the Missouri River tributaries. This 1944 legislation still defines the structure and the actions that the Corps and the Bureau operate under today. Operation of the Missouri River main stem system is governed by two key documents, the Master Manual and Annual Operating Plan. The Missouri River Master Water Control Manual, or Master Manual, is the guide used by the Corps to operate the 6 dams of the Missouri River main stem reservoir system during different seasonal conditions. This system includes Fort Peck Dam in Montana, Garrison Dam in North Dakota, and Owyhee, Big Bend, Fort Randall, and Gavins Point dams in South Dakota and Nebraska. Using the Master Manual as the framework, the Annual Operating Plan lays out the detailed plan of how the Corps will operate this system of dams for the upcoming year, based on current storage and runoff conditions. All of the main stem dams were authorized for hydropower. In fact, the main stem power plants have about 2,500 megawatts of capacity, enough to power millions of households. Power plants in these dams, along with a number of reclamation power plants, provide electricity for customers throughout the region. These customers include utilities, cities, cooperatives, government agencies, and Native American tribes. The electricity also provides power to pump water from the Missouri River and its tributaries for irrigation. A lot has changed over the years. Now, 66 years later, Congress determined that a fresh look should be taken at the authorized purposes and their impacts, each independently evaluated and unconstrained by the Pick-Sloan Plan. A series of public scoping meetings to collect input and comments about the study is underway during the summer of 2010. Additionally, keeping in mind the special and unique relationship the tribes have with the river and their status as independent sovereign nations, separate meetings are being held to collect tribal input for this study. Finally, National Environmental Policy Act requirements will be adhered to as the Corps considers the environmental effects on the recommendations submitted to Congress. While this study is a significant effort, also underway are a variety of other basin efforts, such as the Missouri River Recovery Program, the Missouri River Ecosystem Restoration Plan, and the Missouri River Recovery Implementation Committee. Congress authorized the Corps to undertake the Missouri River Authorized Purposes Study in 2009. It's a broad-based study for reevaluation of the Flood Control Act of 1944, and today's event is part of that effort. Using input collected here and through other public engagement methods, each of the 8 authorized purposes will be evaluated in view of current basin values and priorities to determine if changes to the existing purposes and existing federal water resource infrastructure may be warranted in the years to come. Resulting in a final report to Congress at the conclusion of the Authorized Purpose Study, your participation and comments today will help shape this process in the years to come. Using your guide and comment form, and by visiting with Corps representatives at this open house, we invite you to learn more about the Missouri River Authorized Purposes Study and to comment on each of the authorized purposes and other Missouri River-related topics. We thank you for your participation, greatly welcome your comments, and encourage you to take an active role here. Explore, discuss, and comment. For additional information, updates, and to submit your comments online, please visit MRAPS.org.